From LALATE News Headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022, the Build Back Better Act, and the CR for stimulus that now has been heard by members of the House Democratic Caucus and says additional bodies of economic legislation need to be passed in addition to the Build Back Better Act, and one of them could be passed by the end of the week. Oh my goodness, they have been listening. In this recording, we'll go over that incredible recon that passed in the month of November that is now in the Senate. That has lots of checks in there, upwards of $60,000 of checks. But why Democratic lead legislators have finally heard the purple power and said, you know what, the recon is good, the Build Back Better is great, but we need to do other ancillary pieces of legislation. And this, my friends, is the notion of CR for stimulus. In today's recording, we'll go over the breaking news as those legislators are now readied other bodies of legislation for potential vote as early as this week. We'll go over what it is and what's in that recon. Turning back to that incredible Build Back Better Act, it will pass in the next few days or weeks. And in those Senate changes, you'll see an MSC, and that is on top of the $15,000 of checks and the $35,000 of checks repeated from third stimulus under fourth stimulus. But no time and place to wait for that, because you can get that money right today. Plus, student loan debt forgiveness. We'll go over the latest on that. This stimulus, can the president do this by executive order? He can. In this recording, you'll see no less than 2 opportunities for Joe Biden to send you out money in less than 30 days. It's not using anything of the recon of the Build Back Better Act, and it's not even using CR for stimulus. It's something else. I have a lot of money for you, and I have a lot of bills in this incredible recording with breaking news across the board. Plus, we'll be looking back to what the progressives have said in the last 3 days. New comments from Bernie Sanders have gone from bad to worse. I'll explain to you the details at hand. Plus, we'll go over the new latest economic data and why that economic data signals CR for stimulus is needed right now. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, the coffee is brewing. And finally, those House Democrats say economic relief is needed right now. We're ready to send it right now. And they are hearing your advocacy. The excitement starts right now as a big, bold, beautiful Mornings LA gets underway direct from Santa Monica, California. The rain is gone. The sleet is gone. Well, that's in other parts of the country. It's still there. But at least with us, we bring you warmth, happiness, promise, and surprises as the recon is getting supplemented with another body of legislation. What is it? It heats up as Mornings LA heats up right now. Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Well, the House of Representatives passed that recon back in November. It is now in the Senate. We'll have a lot of checks to it added in there, including an MSC. How much is that MSC? Who gets it? I go over the latest details in today's recording. Plus, there's other checks in the incredible recon, upwards of $60,000, adding in the repeat for third stimulus. But stay to the very end of this video because I got a lot of checks to get you. This is third stimulus checks, and I'm going to show you how you get them right today, even if you got them more before. Student loan debt forgiveness, the latest details on that, plus what's going on with fifth stimulus. And can the president do fifth stimulus by executive order? He can. The toast is toasting and the butter is buttering as Congress is finally hearing your advocacy of CR for stimulus and now says ancillary pieces of economic legislation need to be passed. These are Democrats, and they want to do them as early as the end of this week. Wow, we have heated up very quickly, and this is why you want to be part of this incredible family. So go right on this video and subscribe and be part of the number 3 most watched financial news channel in America. I want you to bring us to number 2. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. New shows today at 3 o'clock on Afternoons LA, 5 o'clock on Evenings LA. and it shows throughout the day. Subscribe, like the video, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP to get that incredible newsletter. It comes out tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system and the LALATE alert system, which is totally free. A link to it is under the video's description. We're going to start with lots of bills in this recording, so I want to slow it down so you don't get confused. But we're going to start with the Build Back Better Act, the 4 stimulus recon, the 4 stimulus package. It all has the same name. And we're going to go over all those incredible checks in there to start. Then we're going to segue into CR for stimulus, and then we'll move into what those House Democrats want to do for you as well. In this Build Back Better Act, there are lots of checks, which we're going to go over right now. Upwards of $15,000 to start, but literally as high as $60,000. You ready? 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. Cluster number 1, hazard pay, got in there. Earned income tax credit for 1 more year for my essential workers. The $4,000 of elder care, got in there. $4,000 of care for young children, got it in there. The CTC, $3,600, got it in there. That is for children 1 more year. $550 check for Pell Grant recipients. $12,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle. Then they got in there checks to repair your home if you live in a low-income community. Wow, there is a lot of checks, and that is just the first of 3 clusters of checks. Now let's go to the first of 3 add-ons of checks, and boy, are they delicious. As delicious as bacon. The only difference is we have this, we don't have the bacon. Let's go to that first add-on of checks, and it comes from Southern California. Here in Southern California, from Maxine Waters. She wanted to give you $25,000 for the purchase of your first home. She got it in there, just a little bit less. Again, this is money given from the federal government to the seller in your name at the time of escrow. You ready for the second cluster of checks? I think you are. Here we go. Home repairs to weatherize your home, all types of homes, and then paid leave. If you or a family member are sick, have to stay home from work, you're going to get this check. How much is it? It's a lot of money. It is $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year, approximately. $35,000 annual salary, then it's $800 a week. If your annual salary is $15,000 or more per year, it's $400 a week salary. How many weeks? 4 to 6 per weeks. 4 to 6 weeks per year. So yeah, that is $4,000 to $6,000 on the high end. Now you don't have to work to get the check. If you live in a household and your son or daughter works and they have to take off from work to take you to the doctor, then they're going to get that check across the board. And that is paid leave. Time for the second add-on of checks. Are you ready? It comes from Bob Casey. It's $250 billion, just a little bit less, for free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Wow, that's totally free. Which then tees us up for the third add-on, the third cluster of checks. And here we find the true deliciousness. In that third cluster, it is seniors and free internet. Free internet for all, free school meals for all, checks. Then farmers, checks. Independent contractors, checks. Cheaper prescription medication, checks. And then seniors, checks. 2 checks on the House, 3 coming from the Senate. Let's compare and contrast. On the House, they got the Medicaid gap fix, more about that second, and the hearing checks. On the Senate side, they vowed to add in there the vision, dental, and lowering the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to 55, which is par for the course of what we're talking about with the third add-on at checks, because the senators want to add that in there. And if you're in the live chat right now, write those 3 letters that describes those third add-on of checks. If you know what they are, if you don't, here they are. MSC. What is MSC? Who gets it? How much is it? When would it go in there? And is there another opportunity to get that money out the door? Let's go over all the nuances of it right now. First, what is an MSC? It refers to monthly IRS stimulus check, where the check goes out from IRS. It differentiates itself from the rest of the checks in this recon because there are multiple checks in this recon. You don't want to get confused. These are ones that go out from IRS. Okay, so who gets them? Tens of thousands of viewers have been told by the legislators since the month of May of last year that it would be the same eligibility as a third stimulus check. Don't remember a third stimulus check? Let's recap it. Single individual, $75,000 less, gets it if that's their annual income. Married couple, $150,000 less, gets it if that's their annual income, but double it. Family of 4, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or railroad benefits, you would get it as well. Adult dependents would also get it. It is not income. It ain't taxable. It's offered on a nationwide basis. It's not state relief. And if it goes off of your last tax return. So if you have a direct deposit account on that last tax return, that's where it would pay out. Otherwise, it would go by paper check. All right, then how much is it? The legislators have represented would be $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months. That is MSC in an add-on to the Senate side of the Build Back Better Act. Now, let's go over how it gets in there and what is the checks in these other bodies of legislation that would come before that. Let's explain it starting right now, and I have new details this morning. Breaking news if you did not hear it last night, and some of your questions answered from last night's videos in this video starting right now. The recon of the Build Back Better Act, which we just went over, passed the House back in November, is now in the Senate. To add provisions to the recon, they have to send it to Senate subcommittee, which they would. Senate subcommittee would then modify the legislation passed in the House, make it a new body of legislation called the Senate bill, and then send it to the Senate floor vote for a vote. All those senators represent they have a lot to add in there. Warren, Wyden, Sanders, Schumer say they have a lot of stuff to add on the Senate side. They're not going to remove anything. They're going to add only stuff. Then Senate floor vote on the Senate bill. Then a 2-day vote-a-rama. And there you go, over the finish line. Now, is there an opportunity to get money out to you faster than even the Build Back Better Act? There is. And what I want to explain to you right now is CR for Stimulus 2022, CR for Stimulus 2020, the latest comments from the House Democrats, which are brand new today on Mornings LALATE, and to compare and contrast these two elements, plus show you how the president can send you more money in addition to everything I just said to you on top of that. First, let's take it back a step. About 9 days ago on air on a Saturday morning, I said, do you want me to bring something back on this channel? I think I should. Before I even finished the sentence, viewers who are longtime viewers said, yes, LA, bring back CR for Stimulus. And we did. What is CR for Stimulus? You just found this channel. Let me explain the notion of it. You have to look back to spring of 2020. We had just started the pandemic. First stimulus package had ended, and we first started hearing words about a potential second stimulus package. It was a package because it was thousands of pages of a length, many, many, many pages. And the negotiations started in that spring of 2020 with Nancy Pelosi out of San Francisco negotiating on behalf of the Democrats, and Steve Mnuchin out of New York negotiating on behalf of the Republicans. He was then Treasury Secretary. They negotiated in the spring, no deal. Then the summer, then the fall, then the winter, and still no deal. The commonality was the following. Negotiations, no deal. A massive package into the 3,000 pages in length, no vote, and clearly no sense of urgency with a deadline. So by December 2020, on one particular day, I think I had enough. And I looked and I said, you know what? The problem is just what I described. What if we had a stimulus check into another body of legislation that's not 3,000 pages in length, that has a deadline, that can't be rolled over for months? So I looked high and low and I found it. It's called a continuing resolution. It has a lot of names, but its most common name is continuing resolution. It is a bill that funds the federal government. It's done every 6 months approximately. And it funds the federal government, its operations, the national parks, the federal buildings. The reason why I liked it was twofold. One, it's small. Two, it goes by bipartisan support because three, it has to get done. They don't roll it over 3 months. They don't roll it over 3 weeks. It has an inherent deadline because if you miss the deadline, the government defaults. So it may miss it by a day or a few days or maybe 7 days, but not several months. So I prepared what I was going to say on recording. I prepared how I was going to advocate to you. I prepared how I was going to explain this to the American people that we're really looking at a second stimulus package. No one was thinking about anything other than that at the time. And I prepared for the criticism I was anticipating. And then I made the first recording. December 2020, I said, hey, it's LALATE here. We've been covering second stimulus for a long time, 11 months, and they don't have it done. And I have an idea. The idea is to put a stimulus check into something different. We're not going to use a second stimulus package. We're going to use something different. It ain't going to be a package. It ain't going to be 3,000 pages in length. It's going to be small. And it has an inherent deadline because of the federal government. It's called the continuing resolution. Put it in there. Its deadline is December 2020. And if it gets in there, you'll get the check because the deadline will be met and the check will go out in December or January of the next year. Do you like the idea? Viewers love the idea. And with that creation by me on this channel was birthed hashtag CR4Stimulus. If you're in the live chat right now, write the hashtag campaign. When you're writing the hashtag campaign right now, do not add 2022 at the end. We want to all use the same hashtag campaign. C is in Charles, R is in Robert, the number 4, stimulus, no A's, it's all U's. And we started advocating. We advocate because second stimulus was not happening. It was dragging and dragging and dragging. And finally, one morning, we woke up with the criticisms. I was ready. The criticisms were exactly what I expected to hear. LALATE, that's ridiculous. CR for stimulus. It's a bill to fund the federal government, to give money to operate the government. Why are we sending out money to the American people? It doesn't belong in there. I immediately was ready for my reaction. You're right, was my reaction. It doesn't belong in there. But since the beginning of time, Congress has been inserting money into stuff that doesn't belong in there. They often pass bills where the money in there doesn't have anything to do with the bill. And they were notorious to doing this during the pandemic. A COVID relief bill where money was proposed to go out to foreign military governments. A COVID relief bill where there was proposed money to build a new FBI building. A COVID relief bill where there was proposed money to give money to the Department of Copyrights. I said, if you can propose that type of money, you can propose a CR that has our stimulus in there as well. So we advocated, and you pushed with my creation. And one morning we woke up and they said, we're putting stimulus in the continuing resolution. We thought we had won until we looked and we realized, oh, it's unemployment stimulus. That's not what we're asking for. So we pushed back again, and finally it got in there. A $600 stimulus check was inserted in the December 2020 continuing resolution of the federal government because of my creation on this channel. And that $600 stimulus check went out to the American people in December 2020. You received it in either December or January, and that became a reality. Case in point, second stimulus never happened after that. There never was a second stimulus package. It never went to a vote. It never became law, and there never was a second stimulus check. Thank goodness for CR for Stimulus 2020. Now, as I said, 9-10 days ago, I brought it back on my channel. I said, you like it to do it again? And viewers said yes. It just lined up apples with apples. 11 months of negotiation again. We started this in spring of 2020. Still no deal. 2 people negotiate again, this time Joe and Joe. 3, no inherent deadline. There's no deadline to getting this done, so they don't have a push to get it out. So I said, guess what? We got another CR. It's February 2022. And if we get a stimulus check into that CR, that will go out because that CR's deadline will be met. Well, here is the breaking news, which you may have heard last night in a special live breaking news report on LALATE. Members of the House Democratic Caucus, led by the House Democratic Caucus chair, have now said the Build Back Better Act will get passed, is a great piece of legislation, but must be supplemented by other pieces, plural, of economic legislation to send out money of economic relief right now because the Build Back Better Act is on its own trajectory of time. The economic recovery relief is needed right now, and those economic pieces of legislation could start with a vote as early as this Friday. Boy, they've heard us. So what are those economic pieces of legislation? I'll go over them in the second half of this video. We're thinking out of the box. Plus, we'll be looking at Joe Biden's, not one, but 2 opportunities to put money in your hand in less than 30 days. What are these opportunities? These are other items on top of CR for stimulus. Then we'll be cutting back to the incredible details of where the economic situation is right now and why Democrats and Republicans both understand the party that deals with the economic pressures right now will win the midterm elections. We'll be cutting back into these incredible checks in this fourth stimulus recon. And then say at the very end, I'm going to show you how to get thousands of dollars of checks right today. And finally, I'll show you where the economic data is right now and why economic relief is needed right now, and compare that to what's also being called social reform, not economic reform. And how the latest comments from Bernie Sanders, why it's not helping the recon. Those incredible details coming up in the commercial break, after the commercial break, but be back with you first in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now. As Mornings LA goes into its second half, the House of Representatives will pass that incredible recon shortly. But one of the persons during the commercial says, is there a sense of urgency for the Build Back Better Act in view of the sense of urgency for these other bodies of legislation? What a great question. I'll answer in the second half. Meantime, the Senate changes will be robust. What will those Senate changes involve? And will they involve American Patriots question during the commercial break? The change for credits. I'll go over the latest details on that. Third stimulus, repeated under fourth stimulus. No time or place to wait for that. I'll show you how to get thousands of dollars of checks right now. Student loan debt forgiveness, the latest details on that. Plus fifth stimulus, we're going to look back and see where the president can get this money out to your hands right today. It's more than SS200, and it can happen in 30 days. Wow, we got a lot of money and a lot of details coming up in the second half. I'm excited you're here because the toast is toasting and the butter is buttering. But first, I want you to subscribe. You're watching LA. Bring us from number 3 to number 2 most watched financial news channel in America by subscribing today. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member to get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alert system and the LALATE alert system. The link is under the video's description. And with that, we go right into the excitement of the second half with the big money, the big details, and the big checks at issue, and it starts right now. Clearly, you see that this video is going to cover a lot of different programs, so I'm going to slow it down so you don't get confused starting right now. So far during this recording, we were covering the Build Back Better Act, passed in the House in the month of November, now in the Senate. We're now pivoting to talking about something else. Before the commercial break, we were talking about CR for stimulus. The concept, very simple. A budget bill needs to be done by Congress by February. The opportunity to insert a stimulus check in there is the concept of CR for stimulus. Get it into there. Why? Because it has a sense of urgency. It has to be done. Otherwise, the federal government shuts down. Number 2, it's a small piece of legislation. It's not thousands of pages in length. And number 3, they've done this before. Now, let's go to what Pete Aguilar surprised us and was the cause of that breaking news report late yesterday, live on air, on LALATE. Pete Aguilar, who is the House Democrat, came out yesterday and ostensibly said, without saying the words CR for stimulus, we need to do something like that. What did Pete Aguilar say? He said that the Build Back Better Act is great. It will get passed. It's needed, but we need to do economic recovery packages, pieces of legislation now and not wait for the Build Back Better Act. Okay, folks, so this is huge. The House Democrats have now acknowledged that CR for stimulus and anything like it is needed right out the door. First, let's step back a step and understand what Aguilar is referring to. What is economic recovery versus social reform? If we're talking about getting money in your wallet to pay your bills, to pay your rent, that is economic recovery. To deal with inflation, to deal with supply chains, to deal with price pressure at the pump or the supermarket, that is economic recovery. If we're talking about dental plans for 25 years, we're talking about vision plans that are different for 10 years versus 5 years, that's social reform. The Build Back Better Act is a mixture of both social reform and economic recovery. Aguilar is staying right on point with you and I and saying, we need economic recovery right now. And he, moreover, says we need not one, but pieces of legislation. This is huge. And that new comment that came in from Aguilar, who is the leader of the House Democrat caucus, he said that this economic recovery needs to be done ASAP. And here's the quote that came in from Aguilar late yesterday. We do have our eyes on the economic recovery, and there will absolutely be pieces of legislation that we will try to advance and get approved that alleviate supply chain issues and inflation. Now, Aguilar went on to describe that one of those bodies of legislation could go for a vote as early as the end of this week. Now, let's step back a notch. When we're doing CR for stimulus, we're basically saying we like Build Back Better Act, but this needs to be done first because the money needs to get out right away. That's what Aguilar is saying. So what are Aguilar's choices? Now, remember, CR for stimulus is just using one instrument, which is the government funding deadline of February. There are other bodies of bills, which I sort of tipped off over the weekend, that you could put money into and send it out to you. And that's what Aguilar is looking at. Now, remember what I taught you over the last few days, and I taught you back in 2020. Don't worry what the bill's called. It could be called the chocolate cake bill. And you say, it's a chocolate cake bill. It's about chocolate cake. Why is there money in there? Don't focus on the name of the bill. Focus on where it's being used for your wallet. So Aguilar is looking at doing one bill by the end of the week that deals with inflation, supply chain, and China and U.S. manufacturing, and getting that to a vote and approved by the House of Representatives by the end of the week. Yeah, it's that quickly. That's the first one he's looking at. He also is looking at the funding deadline. Then there's a lot of talks that Democrats are looking at the Russia sanctions bill. There's going to be a Russian sanctions bill that's going to be approved by the Senate potentially first and then back over to the House. They'll sanction Russia for its efforts against Ukraine. That could have money inserted in there. Sound unusual? Of course it's unusual. But that, again, is not what Congress is not unusual about. They're often sending money in something that doesn't belong in there. Now, here is something I want to go over with you because I got some of these questions late yesterday. Does this mean that they put money in this first, that we won't get the other thing? No. So the Build Back Better Act, all these Democrats still want it to pass. They still want it to go out the door. When we're talking about putting money into these provisions, we're not talking about putting $60,000 of checks. We aren't talking about putting MSCs with 6 or 7 or 10 checks. We're talking about one check potentially in these provisions and getting it out the door. It doesn't kill Build Back Better at all. It just supplements it. All right. Now, does the President of the United States have the opportunity to get you more money on top of everything I just explained to you? He does. And he has 2 opportunities. I'm going to go over both of them right now. And then I'm also going to answer some of the questions and comments I saw on social media last night from some of the viewers of this channel addressing the situation. We're going to go over these 2 opportunities for the president to get you money right now. The first one, if you've been with this channel for a while, looks like SS200, but it's a lot more money. When we look at fifth stimulus, we have a lot of stuff we wanted to do by bill, by reconciliation, by vote, by act of Congress. But ironically, The president can do one of the best part of his stimulus, the SSI reform, to get you hundreds of dollars or more per month today without a bill and without Congress. What's at issue? Let me go over the details. Under the charter establishment of federal agencies, those federal agencies often have their own guidelines as to how to operate. They don't need Congress to tell them how to operate. They determine their own rules and regulations. Now, the President of the United States, as an individual, as a member of Congress, as a member of the executive branch, can pick up the phone and say, hey, it's Joe Biden. I want to encourage you to maybe look at doing this a little bit differently. I know you determine your own guidelines, but I want to give you encouragement. Guess when he last did this? He did it in October 2021. We picked up the phone and contacted the Department of Agriculture and said, you know what? You're paying out SNAP. I want you to pay a little bit more. You're not paying out enough. Pay out a little bit more. And that became 25% more lifetime. The Department of Agriculture did not need Congress to approve them. They did it under their charter establishment guidelines. What can Joe Biden do today? He can pick up the phone and contact the Department of Social Security Administration and say, you know what? Member of the Democratic Party and myself been talking a long time about doing a package where we would reform SSI and SSDI, but one of these things we don't need to do as a bill. You can do it yourself, Social Security Administration. Remove COLA as the benchmark and start using inflation next month. How much would this put in your pocket, viewers? Hundreds of dollars a month starting next month. A lot more than $200 of SS200. This would be $100 a month. And this would not be for 1 year like SS200 was going to be. This would be lifetime. Let's go back. This stimulus was looking to replace COLA and use it to benchmark inflation. First, let's run the numbers so you understand the numbers at issue. COLA is currently 5.9%. And because it came in at 5.9% in December of last year, your benefits went up from December to this month, January, now we're in February, 5.9%. Had they used inflation instead of COLA, you would have not gone up 5.9%. You would have gone up 7.5%. That's 2% more. The president can swap, or the Social Administration can still swap it out and change it over to inflation. 2% per month more is hundreds of dollars a month more lifetime, not 1 year. There's a lot more than SS200, and it literally is just a phone call. Now let's step back and understand what's at issue. COLA is the benchmark that they use every year for your benefits to determine whether your benefits are going to go up or stay the same. How many years have you had benefits checks where it's the same check as the year before? It's because COLA doesn't work. COLA doesn't move. It doesn't move at all. The only reason it moved 5.9% this last December for this year is because inflation is out of control. And inflation was predicted by me on this channel being out of control back last summer. Federal Reserve in spring of last year said that inflation in December 2021, last month, was going to be 1 to 2% and temporary. I said no. Well, Wall Street said it was going to be 2 to 3%. I said no. I said it's going to be 8% in December 2021, and it ain't going to be temporary. Guess what happened? The inflationary rate last month, announced about 10 days ago, by the Department of Labor, came in at 7.5%. Had your benefits been tied to inflation at 7.5%, you would have gotten 2% more. The president can pick up the phone and contact Department of Social Security Administration, say, swap it out, swap over to inflation, and start paying going forward from March 2022 forward based upon inflation. That would give you hundreds of dollars or more per month, and it wouldn't require anything from Congress. Second opportunity is a repurposing of existing money. Now, this is really fascinating. We're going to go over how it works, where we've seen it before, and I'm going to go over some of your comments and questions I saw on social media overnight and explain the situation for that as well. What is repurposing money and what is the concept of it? It's very simple. Many federal agencies of the federal government have programs that were established, and they were given money for those programs. And then, under the law, those programs ended. Maybe it was a 1-year program. Maybe it was a 6-month program. The programs ended, but the money wasn't all used. So where's the money? Still in that federal agency, not the Department of Treasury, the federal agencies. The President of the United States has inherent authority to pick up the phone and contact those federal agencies saying, I'm repurposing that money to be sent out as something else. Here's the best example of it, and it starts right now. FEMA, you know what FEMA is. Tornado hits, you call FEMA. Hurricane hits, you call FEMA. Fire hits, you call FEMA. Federal Disaster Relief. Do they have anything to do with your unemployment benefits? No, of course not. They're FEMA. Well, during the start of the pandemic, FEMA was given a lot of money for COVID relief by the U.S. government. But in 2020, Donald Trump saw an issue. Millions of Americans' unemployment benefits boost, called the FBUC, had ended. It was that add-on that went on top of PUI and PUA, you may have remembered. Millions of Americans needed it. He didn't want to go back to Congress to ask for more money, but he saw that FEMA had extra money for its program that has expired. So he picked up the phone. I'm going to repeat, picked up the phone, not an executive order, not a writing. He picked up the phone and contacted FEMA and say, repurpose your existing FEMA money for those programs that are now expired, FEMA programs, and use it for unemployment assistance. And that became LWA. It became the replacement for FPUC. Donald Trump had a second opportunity, and this one, obviously, in my opinion, cost him the election. He had $550 billion confirmed sitting at the Small Business Administration. What is that? That's a federal agency for corporations and small businesses. That money was dedicated to them during one of the stimulus packages, and many of the stimulus packages. The program was over. The money was still there. They hadn't used up all the money. And the money could have been repurposed as not one, but two stimulus checks. He didn't. Had he sent that money out, it would have made a big difference. Now, overnight, I saw a series of comments on social media from the Purple Power viewers. I want to clarify some of the comments people are saying. First, one viewer said, Joe Biden repurposed the SBA money. No. I don't believe that money is around anymore. So that money is gone. That's an example I'm using. Number two, someone said Joe Biden repurposed the FEMA money. No, that money is gone. That was an example of what was done under the Trump administration. Joe Biden has the authority to repurpose other money. So the only thing that remains is, where is the other money? One person sent me a beautiful message on Instagram. I haven't gone through it. If you have found other pots of money, billions of dollars from programs that expired, and they're noted as being in an agency, send me the message and I'll advocate on camera for it. One viewer has. I'm going to go through my notes as well on this. Now, lastly, some viewers have said, Joe Biden, do an executive order to send out cash. You want to be careful with those type of words, because that's not what this is. When you say executive order to send out cash, it sounds like what he's not allowed to do. The president is not allowed to knock on the door of Department of Treasury, grab a wad of cash and mail it out. He's not doing this here. Here he's just giving a guidance to a federal agency to repurpose their money for another purpose and send it out. Not particularly executive order, and it's not the notion of what we think is executive order, where the president is actually writing a decree to grab cash. Not at all. So there you go. Now, let's go into why CR for stimulus is really needed more than ever before in view of what's going on with the progressives. Well, Bernie Sanders, Pramila Jayapal, and Ron Klain have been really acting up. And every day, you've been seeing me cover this in the last 7 days. Every day, it gets worse than the day before. This is not good for the Build Back Better Act, which needs every Democrat in the Senate to approve the Build Back Better Act. Where did it start? It started in December, when Ron Klain, the president's chief of staff, started issuing these press releases, which are hit pieces, going after Joe Manchin daily, saying Joe Manchin's bad, Joe Manchin's bad. Okay, that was then. Then we had Bernie Sanders really taking it to a level I'm really shocked by. Bernie Sanders, over about 5 days ago, said to press that the moderate Democrats' provision of the SALT cap had been removed, untrue. During negotiations, untrue, because it helped rich people, untrue, and then hurts working class Americans. All untrue. It's just all ridiculousness. It's all ridiculousness. It was so untrue that fellow Democrats, who aren't particularly progressive or moderates, came out and slammed Bernie Sanders, saying, what are you doing? Bob Menendez said, you know what? That's all junk that you just said. And why are you flip-flopping? This is all junk. And why are you going after the moderate Democrats on something that doesn't hurt anyone? This is a provision that helps everyone. That was then. Then, 2 days ago, came Pramila Jayapal on Now the House. She came out and said that the Build Back Better Act in the Senate will go to a vote on March 1st. Now, you know why I immediately made the recording is to tell you that's also made up. Another fake narrative. And guess who says a fake narrative? Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi said, Pramila, you're a House member. You're not a senator. Who are you to say when the senators do anything? And who are you to say when things are called for a vote in the Senate? That's for Chuck Schumer to do. What is Pramila Jayapal doing? Is Pramila Jayapal trying to get press for herself to run for Dianne Feinstein's seat in the Senate? Jump in the live comments and tell me what your comment of the situation is. But Nancy Pelosi's comments, also out of California, was that that's not a real deadline. And more importantly, what has Pramila Jayapal done with the moderate Democrats to get the recon close to the finish line? Nothing, and is not doing anything new on it between now and March 1st. So again, also untrue. As if that was not enough, drumroll, here comes Bernie in the last 12 hours, and it is another level. So what is Bernie Sanders doing? Bernie Sanders now tells press that he's supporting Democratic opponents to Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema for Democratic primary campaigns in their home states of West Virginia and Arizona. Oh, does this help anyone? No. You need these two people to vote in favor of it. Let's be very frank about the matter. The vote on the Build Back Better Act better happen before when Sinema is up for re-election, which is not, 2 weeks from now or 2 months from now. She's up for re-election a long way out. And so much the case for Joe Manchin. Bernie Sanders is really burning matches everywhere. And when asked about why he's doing it, his reaction is to Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, they're big boys and big girls. That's pretty disrespectful. To which fellow Democrats are now asking, what's going on with Bernie Sanders? What has happened to him in just 2 weeks? Here's Brian Schatz, Democrat of Hawaii, says, it's a free country to do what you want. But when asked whether he would do what Bernie Sanders was doing, he says, I would not recommend it. So that's why the CR for stimulus is so needed across the board. Now, with that, let me take a pivot and go over the other provisions of the recon that are in there. And then we're going to go over to some money that you can get right now, thousands of dollars because you want thousands of dollars right now. And then we're going to pivot back to this economy so you understand what this economic recovery relief is that Aguilar, myself, and you and I are all talking about. All right, what are those provisions in that recon that bring you so much money? Again, this is the Build Back Better Act we're pivoting back to. They got in their SALT cap, raising your deductions from $10,000 to $72,500 on federal tax returns of what you'd paid and state and local taxes. Cheaper prescription medication, growing from 10 medications at day one to 20 medications by year 2028. The most expensive, like Medicare Part B, D, and C, and Medicare Part B and D. Then $40 billion of free job trains for millions of Americans who want to take a higher paying job. They got the Medicaid gap fix in there. They'll provide years of subsidized private insurance to low-income uninsured people in certain states. They got the $550 check for the Pell Grant recipients in there. The incredible $12,500 for the purchase of a new home. The incredible $65 per month for nutrition. And then we have all those provisions from third stimulus that are continuing. During the commercial break, American Patriot asked about changing one of the credit limits. And when I saw that something about the credit limits, understand that if the question was, are they changing credit limits for a stimulus? Everything is open for negotiation. So whether they have or haven't, if you want it in there, you can put it in there. As to credit limits, they're looking to bring back they're looking to do the household tax credit. They're looking to do the child tax credit, $3,600, same levels. The child care limits, the seniors care limits, which are $4,000 covered earlier in this video. And the hazard pay, which is the earned income tax credit, that was broadened up under third stimulus. It predates the third stimulus, so that's what Patriot was referring to. Hopefully that answers the question as well. Then they want to do a lot of housing assistance. So this is where your money is, so get that pen and paper ready. If you're a member of this channel, pull out that newsletter. If you're not, become a member right today. I'm going to show you how to get $1,000 right now. They have in there the home repairs, brand new, and the weatherizing home, brand new. But the rest is repeat from third stimulus, and you don't have to wait for fourth stimulus to become law. You can get it right today from third stimulus. We can go over that money right now. It is rent, utilities, mortgages, and more. Third stimulus became law in spring of 2021. The great news is the money is still in there, and I'm going to show you how to get that money right now. I'm going to go over the calculations and where to find it. Follow along with the newsletter. If you're a member, if you're not, become a member today. This is the money for rent that viewers got back in October of last year, but it's grown a lot. It is upwards of $40,000. Six places you're going to get it from: City Hall, City House Authority; County Hall, County House Authority; State Hall, State House Authority. The keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. You want to do three musts. You must get application on file everywhere. You must reach out to all six places, and you must do another round. More about that around a second. Utility assistance because of COVID. Reach out to all utility companies and get utility assistance because of COVID. Mark's brother-in-law is getting $15,000. Next, get SNAP. It is money for food. You get it from Department of Agriculture. And it has gone up a lot, 25% starting the month of October of last year. Mark's brother-in-law is getting $25,000 a year. Over 10 years, he is getting $250,000. Then get combo items. Here is Nisi and Art Sullivan, who started it with 3 items or more. That's what I tell viewers. Get 3 items or more. Here was Mark at 2 items, $32,000. I said, Mark, where's your third? He got his third, brought him to $50,000. Now he's at over $100,000. Lorraine, she was at 105. Now she's at 120. With that, let's look at what these additional rounds mean right now. When third stimulus became law, I told viewers that under third stimulus, don't focus on a $14 stimulus check. Focus on this big pot of money for rent and utilities we just went through. I said, I think it's about $15,000. Viewers got a lot more. They got $45,000 because they really listened carefully to this channel. That was from then, which was about February 2021, March, April, May. By the summer of last year, I said, get another round. A few viewers got another round, but most viewers got the Christmas round. We call the Santa stimulus. They got November, December, January at the end of last year. The great news is I want you to get another round today because the money is still there, thankfully. You're going to first reach out to the same organization you reached out before, potentially from the federal government, and get an additional round. But I want you to go out as far as you can. Look to May. Can't get May, get April. Can't get April, get March. Go out as far as you can. Then lean on the nonprofits because they get replenished every spring in January with a new pot of money. Do that right today. That's your thousands of dollars. Become a member to get that incredible newsletter today. The membership link's on the video that details more about how to get these thousands of dollars in your wallet today. And with that, I want to go over where the economy is right now and why this messiness of the economy really signals why the Aguilar, LALATE, Purple Power approach now works. Social reform, like Bernie Sanders' vision, dental, hearing, that's one thing. Economic reform, because your wallet needs money, that's something else. And it was no less than a few days ago I said, the economy is getting a little bit messy. I don't know what's going to happen with this economy getting so messy. Now we know. As Aguilar said, the political party, Republican or Democrat, that has the best approach to address the economic issues will win the midterm elections. Let's understand that. Address, not just complain. So the action has to have a solution to the problem. We had thought that the Joe Manchin situation may be out there. It ain't going to work anymore, what Joe Manchin's saying. Don't do anything because if you do more, it's going to hurt it. No. Everyone understands you have to do something to fix it now. You have to do something to fix the problem. And what's the problem? Let's analyze it right now. It's very, very messy. First, we have the inflation that predates Halloween of last year. It was inflation caused by supply chain lack of workers. Then came the Omicron-caused inflation, where 20 to 50% of workers in any business are out because they're sick. That's caused an additional level of inflation. Okay, next we have the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is no longer supporting the economy. That ended last month and is now coming in with interest rate spikes, which it thinks will help inflation. It'll also hurt other things. Interest rates spike. What does that mean? You have a credit card with interest, it goes up. You have student loan debt with interest, it goes up. How much are we looking at this, LLA? Well, we thought no less than 6 months ago, one interest rate spike this entire year at the end of this year. Late last year, I said one interest rate spike this spring. Now it's fearfully looking like 5 interest rate spikes this year, a quarter basis point. 5 times a quarter is more than 1%. So what imagine you're paying right now on interest, add an additional percent, it's bad. Number 3, the inflationary situation is getting worse month after month. So new data came out today that showed that the biggest inflationary culprit, gasoline. It's up almost 46% year to date compared to January of last year, or February last year. Number 2, Cars, new and used, next biggest jump. And then consumer staples like milk, eggs, up about 6, 7, 8%. And that's before we get to the next concern, Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin and his potential invasion of Ukraine is causing additional economic uncertainty because they are big suppliers of petroleum. And if they disrupt the petroleum supply, then expect those prices to go up, even if it's just the rumor. Vladimir Putin, in new comments today, spoke to Boris Johnson, the head of the UK, and assured Boris Johnson that there would be no inflation, there would be no invasion of Ukraine. But that's not what the UN Security Council thought this week when they blasted the representative ambassador from Russia, saying, why is there 100,000 troops at the border of Ukraine? Fess up and explain the situation. And that is why among the money items, the bills we're talking about right now, is a potential sanctions bill against Russia. Those are the inflationary concerns, and they're far from over. New economic data is coming in today. Among them is corporate earnings. Corporations are being disrupted by Omicron supply chain, and a few major Fortune 500 companies are reporting massive misses. Massive earnings misses on new economic numbers. Bad and bad. So, why Aguilar's comments are so good for us is that everyone is now realizing doing nothing is not a solution. Doing something is the only approach. And complaining about it but not offering a solution is also not an approach. So everyone sees that economic relief is the priority right now. Unfortunately, economic relief, your wallet, your bills, is more important right now than your vision or your hearing, because this is your ability to survive with massive inflation, economic disruption, and economic instability right across the board. One of the things I forgot to mention earlier, I don't want to mention right now, and I forgot to mention, of course, on Afternoons LATE's brand new show today at 3 o'clock, is the growth numbers. The growth numbers that came in 24 hours ago said that there is now concerns that the U.S. economy will not grow in this year, but shrink. That's because we're not making as much money because of all this economic disruption. This is all reason of why things need to get done. And with that, coming up next at 11 a.m. is Home LA. We're back at 1 o'clock with Afternoons LA. And then at 3 o'clock, a brand new Afternoons LA. At 5 o'clock, a brand new Evenings LA, followed by Evenings Countdown at 6. Then Home Stream Stimulus at 7. And Evenings Extra at 8 o'clock. We continue our shows at 9, 10, and 11:30 of Overnights LA. And then we're back tomorrow morning with Sunrise LA. That was very well watched across the board. Bring this channel to the number 2 most watched financial news channel in America by subscribing. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Tell your friends and family, come on over. This is where people are getting money. This is where people are learning how to make money. This is where people are learning about how money works and getting that financial independence. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful morning. I give my deepest prayers to people of the other parts of the United States where it's deeply cold, deeply freezing. Be very careful on the streets. Be very careful on the roads. Stay off of the roads if you can. I'll bring you the beach, the surf, and the surfing videos as much as I can to warm you up, and I'll hopefully warm you up with some stimulus. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.